This one, boy, the prep on this, you always come early, always stay late because this one's going to be an interesting one. We had kind of a discussion because we could have gone one of two ways. We could have gone, spiritual abuse. So we're doing that series of podcasts. It's just like in the prep for that one, I'm just shaking my head and I'm not supposed to be laughing. I'm like, don't laugh because it's so, but my philosophy have been for decades, one of my rules is if I'm going to laugh about something in 10 years, like why waste 10 years? Why not laugh about it now? I mean, it's a good law. But then we are talking about your voice in my headset and friendships. And it's like, you know, then it was brought up. It's like, like, should we talk about spiritual abuse or family abuse? And, it's brought up that maybe they're both in the same. And it's wild. Like, it's just absolutely wild on what it is. And so, my dad, he was a pastor. And I think he was a good dad. I do. I mean, I do. I think he was a good dad. Um, but he and I tried to hang out. We try to hang out once a week after I got kicked out of the church. I went to the church he started. You're right. It does all connect. Like I went and came. Like it's weird. I'm. should I should I go here or not? No, I don't. I think I'll be considerate of the audience and I won't go here. Anyways, so I'm 18 years old. Okay. Okay. So I'm 18 years old and I'm at my brother's apartment at college. So my parents said, you got to go to 1 year Bible college. That's a requirement. You're going to pay, but that's what you're going to do for us. They said you go to one. That's our expectation. It's like we're 18. Well, we still go. So it's honoring your parents. So we went and it worked into my goals because it's like, okay, I'm going to go to 1 year Bible college. I'm going to find a wife, and, I wasn't interested in being a pastor, missionary, but, so it's the same Bible college that my parents went to. And so I'm there and I'll never forget. I get a call from my parents. I'm 18 and my parents are like, hey, Mark, just wanted to. This actually fits into last Sunday's stuff. Like, and It's a Wonderful Life. I had never connected those two. Like, really? No wonder I love that movie. So I don't, like my wife does. But to me, it's just, anyways. So I get a call. My mom and dad are on the phone, and I'm like, hey, and and uh and they said, hey, the Marshalls have decided to leave the church. And so the Marshalls, you guys don't know the Marshalls, but they were one of the founding members of the church. So, and he had a good job and stuff. And so I figured they made pretty good money. He was a deacon, a chairman of the deacon board. Like it was a small, small church, maybe 15, 20 people. Like it was small. And they were like, there were six of them. So 10, 20% of the church got wiped out. And I remember thinking, I have a responsibility for that. And so that is one of the key reasons when I fulfilled my responsibility to the 1 year, that was one of my major reasons why I went back to that area. Was to be with my parents and help them out with the church. And by then I was dating my future wife. So I was dating my future wife and went back to the church. And then we got engaged and had a long distance relationship. She was in college at Faith Baptist Bible College in Ankeny, Iowa, which is where we met. So I went there a year. She went a year and a half. And then we got engaged. It all does interconnect, actually. What an interesting, fascinating story. So then we got married, but before we got engaged, and because they had lost Charles Marshall, and it was devastating. I knew it was devastating. Like I just knew that it was devastating to them. I mean, it could have wiped the church out. And so I remember coming back after my year, and I wasn't married, and so I'm 19, not married, and they said, my dad says, "Hey, we need you to be a deacon in the church."
So wait, why did they leave?
Um, I never know. I never knew because nobody ever tells you the truth in the Baptist.
Okay.
I mean, they had been there for probably 4 or 5 years, so it had been a while, and so you know, so my guess was that he didn't get along with my dad, and my dad was an amiable. So he was a super nice guy. I mean, everybody loved him, except the people that were under his leadership. He could be a little bit controlling. He liked things done his way. And didn't a vision. He had a vision for the church. Um, so I never asked actually. I just knew, wow. I don't know if any of my kids know that story actually. So I came back and they said, my dad said, "Hey, we need a new deacon. So we're going to have you be a deacon." I'm like, but the Bible says you have to be a husband of one wife. I'm not married yet. And my dad's like, "It's fine." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I became a deacon at the age of 19. And then I served for 24 years, 27 years in that church. And I did all these things and gave a whole bunch of money. I mean a boatload of money. Even when I was like, we went there and started the church when I was 14, 13, 14. Ooh, there's so many memories. Oh my goodness. Like I was dating this cute girl, just getting in, not dating because we couldn't date until we were 16. There was this girl in Appleton, Wisconsin, and she was a cutie. She was really sweet. And I'll never forget, we went sliding down. We lived by a golf course. There was a big hill, and we had this youth event. And she and I went sliding, and we weren't dating, but we were interested in each other. I remember, I remember coming back from that sliding, and I mean, it was, you're 14, and there's no holding hands or no kissing. It just was fun. It was just fun. My dad goes ahead and says, my dad goes ahead and says, "I think God's calling us to move somewhere else and start a church." I'm like, "What?" I didn't tell him that. Like, it's weird on how good I treated my parents. Like, it's amazing to me how little my parents did for us. Like, you go to 1 year of college and you pay for it yourself. And it was expensive. And I honored that. And I didn't talk back to them. Like, and I respected them and I did all this stuff. And I look at all that I've done for my kids, and they're just mean, nasty little buggers. It's unbelievable. It's mind numbing to me. Anyways, so when they said, "Yeah, um, God's calling us to be, start a new church," and I'm like thinking, I'm 14. There's this young girl. I'm like just getting like the church, like it's youth group, like it's like friends, and having friends, and maybe I can see that. So anyways, so it's a tough time in life, right? You're 14 and you're being uprooted. And then I remember my dad saying, I'm like, where do you think God's calling you to, Dad? And he's like, maybe Boston. And Kenny and I went to Boston together. And I'm like, Boston? I'm thinking, I didn't say this. Like, I don't know. Like, you just don't talk back to your parents. Anyways. So I remember thinking, yelling in my Boston, the only worst place in that is Chicago. And where did we move? Chicago. It was just crazy. There could be so many podcasts on that whole experience. It's just insane. So so I went back to the church, served there, gave tons and tons of money, and an amazing nonprofit organization that have volunteered for years and given a lot of time research. Like they never gave a dime, not a dime to Life Masteries. I mean, I gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to the church that my dad was a pastor at and helped them through so many financial I mean, it's just crazy. And then I get kicked out at the age of 40. Like, are you kidding? So, spiritual abuse and family abuse, it's just, so in the Wall Street Journal, I was reading a few weeks ago about your chosen family. They were doing a book review about your chosen family rather than your birth family. And like my dad, I was probably, I don't know, I was probably 50 years old, 45, 50. And I'll never forget, I was in his living room and I'm 45, 50 years old. And he goes ahead, he just walks up to me. I'm in their living room visiting them. They just lived right across town and they never did anything with our kids. I mean, like if you went ahead and went to their church, then okay. And if you come over and chop wood and do all the work there, then it's okay. But they never did anything fun. I mean, just worked. Now, my kids, like Ginger Ann, like she traveled around when she was, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 years old, traveled all around the country with my parents doing a phone ministry. So she has a lot of fond memories. She misses my mom a lot. My mom was really cool. She was a cool lady. But I remember my dad coming up to me and he's like, Mark, I have 10 things against you, 10 things I have issues with you. I'm 45 years old. And he says, he pulls out, he reaches into his little purple shirt and he pulls out a list of 10 things. And he says, I'm just going to read them to you. And I don't want you to say anything. And what do? I just sit there and just listen. And every one of them, and I don't remember what any one of them were. I wish I'd have been, I wish I would have been what I am today because I'd have said, Dad, that is so cool. Thank you so much. Can I have a copy of those? Like, can I write them down? Let me get some notes on this, Dad, because I don't remember. That's the only regret. Like, I don't regret just standing there and he just read them off. And every one of them, I'm thinking, but Dad, that's not fair. Like, Dad, this is not fair. Like, it's not fair, Dad. But I didn't. I just stood there. It's just, it's just crazy. You fast forward, you fast forward to where he was a few months from dying. And I was the only sibling that was there. I got to deal with my mom and dad, and they did a good job. I mean, it wasn't real messy, but my brother, he was the executor of the will. He's a goofball, like Vern. He's a CPA, and the guy thinks he's smart, thinks he's important, thinks he's caring. It's just weird. Like those accounting CPA people, like what's wrong with them? Anyways, it just, and a few weeks before he died, like I'm over there helping him into bed. And so my mom was diagnosed, like he was put on hospice. So when you're put on hospice, you're pretty close to death. He was put on hospice. He was not doing well. They didn't know what was wrong with the guy. Like maybe Parkinson's, maybe, but he didn't have any life threatening. My mom had stage 4 cancer. So like, and it's weird. It's just weird. So my dad's on hospice, and they're both healthy as horse. I mean, they never drank, they never smoked, they didn't have any sugar, they didn't have they didn't drink, like they had garden, they always natural, just healthy, both of them healthy, healthier than all get out. I mean, just healthier than all get out. Then all of a sudden, my dad, they're like, yeah, he's on hospice.
How old were they?
75 when they died. And my youngest sister, bless her heart, she's a medical doctor. It's just like people in authority, people in authority, people who are highly educated, people that are in authority, people think they're just. So I remember my mom, like my dad and I tried to go ahead and connect, but we just couldn't. We just could not connect. They say you marry the parent that you can't figure out, that you're not. And I did. My wife is just like my dad. Like it didn't work with my dad, so I'm going to marry somebody just like my dad. Get a second chance at it. That's what they say. And she is so much like my dad. Holy cow. But I was going to church and there was a visiting pastor, and I talked to him afterwards, something he said in the sermon, and he said, I went up after, I said, listen, there's something in your sermon. I just want to run something by you about my dad. And he said, and I ran it by him. He says, it sounds like your dad's an emotional midget. I said, what does that mean? He's like, I don't know. He has no ability to feel people's emotions. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do about that? But it was weird on the feeling, like everything changed. I wasn't angry with my dad, just confused. It's like, I don't know. How do you serve your dad for over 20 years? How do you go to his church and raise your kids in it? How do you go ahead and commit all the time and the money and the resources and everything? How do you do all of that? How do you do all of that? And they're not engaged at all in your life vision. They know what it is because I've shared it, but there's nothing there. I just served my parents for over 20 years. And I mean, there's a lot more to this story. And I think both my parents were really good parents. I think they did the best they could do. So I said, what do I do? He said, well, maybe there's something that you hurt your dad. I'm like, okay. He said, so you might want to go ahead and ask your dad, hey, is there anything I've done to hurt you? I mean, maybe he should have said that to me.
That's what I was gonna say. Why does it always? That's so interesting.
It always goes to the one with the highest emotional, relational intelligence. Always. the one with the highest emotional relational intelligence, it always goes to them.
Right.
Always. I mean, always. So I'm like, okay, just stupid. Angela, sweetheart, this is an amazing story. This is a time, like, I think, honey, I'm going to start documenting all the times you captured my heart. So this was right around where, the first, or no, the second, this was before Ginger Ann got married. She has a cousin really close, Josh. He got married, and his wife is a dancer. That first dancer in the family. There's no dancing. Like, you don't dance as Baptist. Not. But there was dancing at this wedding. So we went to the wedding. And I was actually dancing with my daughters, and it was really fun. It was really cute. I mean, it was really funny. But then Angela, I don't know, she's 15 years old. And I don't know why, but we're driving. It's like a 5-hour drive to get to the wedding, and we're driving, and she just doesn't want to talk. She's 15. Like, and I'm not saying that I was thankful for that. Like, if she's not talking, she's not fighting, arguing. I don't know. She's sad, mad, angry, but she wasn't disruptive. Like, she wasn't being a bee. She was being nice. She just didn't want to talk. Like, leave the poor girl. And my youngest sister is a medical doctor. My heart goes out to medical doctors. I just think the poor medical community and the CPAs. My oldest brother, he's a CPA. I go out to them too, because I think both of those industries, I think they just train the emotion out where you have no emotion. Like when my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and my sister called me. I remember exactly where I was standing in my office, and she called me, and she says, "Mark, this is Kim." I said, "Yeah." She said, the stuff's come back with mom. I'm like, okay. And she's like, "Yep, it's terminal. She has 2 to 6 months to live." I'm like, my own sister, she does not have bedside manner. Did she not understand how close I was? But it was just like, yep, she's going to die. And I wanted to ask her, right? I wanted to say, so nobody lives? It's 100%. Like, and there was this black guy I played basketball with, and he was a doctor. So I talked to him. I said, hey, I wanted to ask my sister, hey, Kim, like, nobody lives? Like, this is just, she's going to die. She's just going to die. And I didn't cry, just like, okay. So I asked Forrest, I said, Forrest, like, this is my mom, you're a doctor. He had his own medical clinic. I said, hey, like, this is what it is. He says, well, where's the cancer? Where did it originate? I like, they don't know. He's like, they don't know? And I'm like, yeah, they don't know where it's originated from. He's like, well, Mark, if it originated from here, yeah, she's got 2 to 6 months to live. Now, there's always a miracle. He was a Christian. There's always a miracle. Like, he went ahead and, like, my sister's just, yep, no, she's dead. Like, really? Like, there's nothing. He said, but if it originated from here, Mark, and they didn't know where it originated from. Didn't know where it originated from. And it's like, he said, if it originates from here, Mark, they can live 10, 20 years or longer. And they never found out where it originated from. So I go in after my mom was diagnosed, she got 2 to 6 months to live. And one of her nurses came in and said, did you get the diagnosis back? Did you get it? And my mom says, yes. And she's like, was it good news or bad? And my mom, she's funny. She's like, it depends. And the nurse like, what do you mean it depends? And it's like, it depends on your perspective. Like, it's just, I love my mom. And the nurse like, what do you mean? She says, well, it came back. It's terminal. I have 2 to 6 months to live. But is that really all bad? And my dad died before my mom did. He just stopped eating and stopped drinking. Some might call that suicide. like what? Like, and my mom, she lived 12 to 18 months, and I think she could have lived longer. I really do. But I go in. So I go in, first time I see her after, after she's diagnosed, she's got 2 to 6 months to live. And she's, holy cow, she understood me. Like she'd say, "You're something, Mark." My grandma said that too. Like, "You're something, Mark." Pretty sure that meant I was special. And I go in I'm the only one there, and she's there in the hospital bed. And I go in and tears are running down my face. I'm so sad because my mom's going to die. And then she's like, "Mark, you might be the only person who can help me." And again, my youngest sister's a medical doctor. She was handling all the medical stuff with the doctors because she's a doctor. And my he's an accountant, so he's handling all the financial stuff. And I'm standing there, and she's like, "Mark, you might be the only person who can help me." I'm like, "What does that mean, Mom?" She's like, "Mark, how you think?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, you don't want to die." And she pauses and cocks her head, and she's like, "Yeah, maybe not." I'm like, "Okay, you won't." like, it's just anyway. So getting back to the other story, it's amazing how many little spider webs there are. So we're at Josh's wedding, dancing, and my youngest sister, the medical doctor, she has three girls, and they're younger, Angela's age or younger, and so she lights up Angela. Here's a grown woman. Here's a grown woman lighting up my 14-year-old daughter. Why? Because Angela lied to her daughters because she had laryngitis. She led them to believe she had laryngitis. I don't even know. It was just weird because Angela wasn't talking. My sister, my youngest sister, the medical doctor, lit my daughter up like a Christmas tree. You guys all know my wife. She's not the most confrontive person in the world. She doesn't confront. But let me tell you, she was not a happy camper. Like, she was not a happy camper. And Angela's sisters, 3 of them, they're not happy. So this is not going to turn out well. Like, I get wind of this. I'm like, dang, what is going on here? Like, what? Like, it's a wedding, for crying out loud. Can we be happy? And so I say, "Hey, Ange, hon," again, 14 years old. So we go out and we sit underneath the tree outside. I said, "Hey, hon, what happened?" And she says, "I don't know, Dad, this and this and this and this." And I'm like, "Sweetheart, I don't know what's going on with my sister." Like, I don't. Like, I'm not going to talk to her. She's a doctor, man, a woman. And she's got her mom, my mom, the one who loved me, on her side, because that's what moms do. They side with daughters. I mean, Nora's like, "Well, that's not my mom." Like, I guess not all moms do that. And so I don't know. Anyways, it's all weird. So I'm like, "Honey, I don't know what's going on with my sister. Maybe she's having problems with her 3 daughters and they're lying. And so she took what you said, as lying. And I mean, you're not talking. I don't know why they just don't leave you alone. It's just weird to me, sweetheart. So I am so sorry for my sister. If you want, babe, I mean, I'll light her up. I have no fear, honey. This is just absolutely garbage. I mean, man, was I ticked. Man, was I ticked. Oh my goodness, was I mad. I mean, and I'm ready to go. Like, I have no fear. I mean, I'll light the whole thing up. And she's like, in her little sweet 14-year-old voice, she's like, "No, Dad, it's okay." I'm like, "You sure, honey?" I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, this is crap. She's like, "No, Dad, it's fine." How's a 14-year-old going through puberty and all the things that go on in 14 years? How does she outperform my sister, who's a woman and a medical doctor? I don't think my sister knew that I would be an international speaker and author. and doing podcasts that 8 billion people are going to listen to. Hey, Kim, if you hear this podcast, I don't know, but families are interesting, right? Like families are interesting. So I'm like, my 14-year, and I'll never forget that, Ange. You, honey, are just adorable. People don't understand you, but your dad does. Your dad understands your heart. So I just let the thing go, and I'm out by the dance floor just watching, and my youngest sister comes up to me, like, really? Like, really? And she just stands there, and I'm just standing. I'm not going to say anything because you know what? I mean, Mama Bear she can be pretty rough, but let me tell you, so it might not come out, but it'll come out eventually for the whole world to know. So I'm just standing there, and my sister's standing there, and all of a sudden she says something. She says, "I bet you're probably really ticked at me, aren't you?" I'm like, "No." Like, "No, I'm fine." Like, "No, I'm good." It's just like you can't make this stuff up. You just can't. You just can't make it up. And she's like, "Well, about Angela's stuff." I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm really fine." She's like, and then I don't know, says something more. I'm like, "I don't know, Kim." Like, I'm not angry. I'm not raising my voice. I'm like, "I don't know, Kim. Could you have handled that situation maybe a little different?" That's in that exact tone, exact everything. Like, I don't know, Kim, could you have, handled that situation a little different, maybe? Holy cow. She just like, yeah, you go ahead, say that. I'm like, what? Like, what? Like, she's my youngest sister, though. So she has problems with her, four brothers not respecting her. Like, what do you mean not respecting you? You're a medical doctor. Like, that's pretty smart, honey. Like, like, I don't know, but I don't know. It's just weird. So she goes, grabs her husband and three daughters and walks off. Like, just walks out of the wedding. Like, what? Oh, like what? Like, what in the world? Like, you got to be kidding. Like, I didn't yell at her. I didn't rebuke her. I just said, hey. And that's after she approached me. I didn't approach her. She approached me. And I tried to get out of it, but she kept pushing, kept pushing. Then all I said is, hey, might have you been able to handle that just a little different? Like, and then it's like, wow. So because it was, we had all our family there, we had a family reunion, family picnic the next day. So we're at the picnic. She doesn't show up. Like,
Was she looking for reasons
right?
to leave and not be there?
I don't know. How am I supposed to know what a woman's thinking? Like, I don't know. So she's not at the family picnic. Like, she's not at the family picnic. And we're, out on my brother's boat and at shore and there by the water. And I'm like, okay. So this was a week or so after the guy went ahead and told me. So I go to my dad, we're talking or something. And I go to my dad, I said, hey, Dad, I was talking to a pastor and he said maybe yours and I connection isn't as good, and so I was just curious, Dad, like, is there anything that I've done that's, created like an issue? Like, are you hurt by me or have I done something? And he kind of looks down. He says, well, maybe you could patch it up with your sister. What? This happened yesterday, Dad. Like, I didn't even tell him. This is like, Nora doesn't know this because she didn't see me then. But I didn't even explain myself to my dad. So I understand Nora. She's higher. Like I didn't explain it. I didn't say, Dad, what happened. I just took it. I just took it. And we go home and I'm talking to Angela. And I said, Hey, Ange, again, another way. She, like, so amazing at 14. And I don't know, we're talking about the situation. I said, Listen, sweetheart, my dad said this, like Ford versus Ferrari. Like, and she's Miles, and I'm Shelby. And I said, Hey, hon, my dad said this and this. And so I don't know. And she says, Dad, do you think I should apologize to your sister? I'm like, I don't think so, honey. And my mom took my sister's side. I'm like, Mom, you're a goofball. Like, do you not even care about your granddaughter? She's 14. And this isn't the first time. It happened to Katrina, too. Both of those girls this happened to. It's just family, just absolutely. It's just crazy. And I was there for both of them. And maybe they're both teenagers. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm willing to step in for you, girls. Like I'm willing. Like I'll take Grandma Borsma out. I'll take Grandma Erler out. I'll take them out to the shed. Their husbands. They're just wusses. Both of them. They can't. They're just wusses. And I said, "Well, honey, no, you don't have to." And she's like, "No, Dad, I'll call her and apologize." I'm like, "Honey, I don't know." And she's like, "No, Dad, it's okay." And I didn't push her. I was like, "Shelby, and Angela, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I shouldn't have even said anything, honey." My kids and the constraint that they had around my family, my parents and aunts and uncles, unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
So,
So
question.
go ahead.
Sorry. So, question. So, do you think it would have been better for your kids to just like separate yourself from the family?
I don't know. This wasn't common. I mean, it was, I don't know. I mean, all my siblings were not local. They were all, East Coast and out in Iowa. So none of them were local. We were the only ones that were local to my parents. And it's weird because my parents went ahead and connected with my youngest sister's three daughters, and they went on vacations and stuff. And I actually felt good for my parents because they didn't really have any friends and they didn't really hang out like with grandkids and stuff. So I was happy for my sister because I mean, she could, she's a medical doctor. She might, I'm not saying be or anything. I'm just saying that, like, it might be hard for her to have friends. Like, I don't know. I don't know why. But so I was happy for them, even though they didn't connect with my kids. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. And so it was weird. So she called my sister, apologized. And then my sister, it was weird. My sister called me on my birthday. And it was a few months later. And she called me and she sang happy birthday to me. Like out of the blue. She'd never done that before, never did it since. I think she didn't do it since because I didn't know how to respond. I didn't respond just properly. And in my life, I got to respond absolute perfect. And when I say perfect, I don't mean perfect. I mean how the person, wife, kids, sister, parents, everybody, pretty much everybody I'm with, I have to be perfect with. Well, that's not true. There are some level four friends that I don't have to be perfect, which is pretty cool, actually. It's very cool. Like, maybe I get off the phone and Rosanna's like, "Who's that?" I said, "It was Kim." And she's like, "Well, what does she want?" She's like, "She wanted to go ahead and, I said, Well, she sang happy birthday to me. And my wife looked at me and she said, that's weird. I'm like, right? I think she was apologizing. But nobody wants to have a conversation. Nobody wants to deal with any pain. They just want to shuffle it under the rug. And what they don't understand is you shuffle it under the rug. You shuffle it under the rug and you'll be an emotional midget because you won't you just have hurt. And that hurt just builds scar tissue. Or there's neither of my parents dealt with stuff. My mom would have, but she had to submit to my dad. My mom, she just submitted to my dad because my dad didn't like conflict and didn't want to deal with stuff. So my mom just became that way. And Rosanna's parents, they didn't want to deal with conflict. And what's really sad, and I'm not sure who is sad for, what's really sad is I don't have any communication with my three brothers or two sisters or anybody on her side of the family. And what's sad to me is I'm fine with that. Like it's fine. I mean, I would go ahead and they can all come. They're all fine. They're all welcome at any event at my property. I'm fine with all of them. But in Jonathan's death, so I think that my sister Kim with his first wife, they went hunting and they hung out and they met up and everything. And he tried to connect with them, you know. He tried to connect with them when his first wife cheated on him, had affairs with a bunch of other men. What a mess she was. He tried to save that marriage like nobody, far more than I would have. My gracious. But he's like his dad. He didn't explain things. He just took it. And so my sister, I think, I don't know, but he tried to connect out after he got a divorce from his first wife. Then he got remarried and he tried to connect with my sister and you know they kind of avoided him. So I think my sister feels guilty about that. I do. And my three brothers and their sons, like my son, like my kids were always the black sheep of the family. Just so I think I feel bad for my siblings and my wife's family. They're just I feel bad for my dad. After my dad died, my mom and I dated. Once a week we go out on dates. Man, was that fun. Holy cow, was that fun. She has stage 4 cancer, and I'd go hang out at her house, and, you know, she's in a lot of pain and couldn't sleep and stuff, but she'd laugh. I'd get her laughing, and she'd joke around. And then I'd say to her, Mom, women just drive me crazy. Man, I don't understand them. She'd be like, well, okay, you know what? And I'd tell her something about a woman. She'd get all poosty with me. That's not true, Mark. Really, Mom? Like, you have stage 4 cancer. You're about ready to die. What are you arguing with me about? That probably is what kept her alive. She'd get all boosty with me. But what was cool, what was so amazing is like she'd come back in a day or two and she'd be like, I've been thinking about what you said, Mark, and it's so true about women. I'm like, right, Mom? And I love that she got into Ginger Ann's heart. I think Melissa's to some degree too. So working on the 4 levels of friendship here, and family. And it's like, I think family is abused. I think parents abuse kids. I think kids abuse parents. There's so much abuse that happens, emotional, relational, shoot, there's sexual abuse. There's so much messed up. And it's like, and what's weird is, as a level 4 friend, like people, it's weird to see how a family can abuse other family members and they just get away with it. And often the spouse or the kids pay for it. So my dad, he was on hospice and he wanted to come live with us, and they had money, so they could have had a caregiver, and it wasn't that bad. And but he and my mom, it's the only time I went black dark on my mom in my life. When so I think, I don't know if she was on hospice yet. My dad was, and they wanted him to, or no, it was right after she was diagnosed with cancer, actually. And they wanted my dad to come over and live with us. I'm like, no, no. Like, you guys don't have any idea what's going on in my house. And my dad, he will disrupt things. He will go ahead, and he's stubborn and locked in, and he's mean and nasty. And yeah, no, he's not coming over. Yeah, no. And my mom, she got all ticked at me too. And it's like, well, I'll come over and help. And my son, Ben, he helped like crazy, more than I even know. Ben, you captured my heart too, buddy. See how you treated my, to see how you treated my dad. It was just absolutely amazing, buddy. And then to see how my siblings mistreated you, we'll do another podcast on that. They don't even probably know, idiots. They just money hungry Scrooges. Just, they have no idea. No idea, Ben. Love you, buddy. And um, so my dad, we're driving home from the hospital from my mom when she was, admitted for the cancer, and he's trying to put guilt on me. It's like, Mark. I'm like, Dad, yeah, no, well, I'll help you. I'll do this, but you coming into our house, like, Dad, you don't know what's going on with the kids and the teenagers. I mean, it's pretty messy, and I don't want to put my wife and kids, like, it's not going to be good for anybody, Dad. It's just not. And he looks down. I'm driving. He looks down, and he's funny. Looks down. He's like, Mark, if what you're saying about me is true, I'm no better than a worm. I started laughing. I did. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, Dad, you are a goofball. You've been preaching for what, 40 years, Dad? You get up at the pulpit, you say, I'm no better than a worm. I'm a sinner just like everybody else. You do all of this stuff up front, and Dad, and you have the emotional strength of a midget. Like, you don't consider you don't consider your grandkids my kids. You're just a goofball, Dad. You think that's going to work for me, Dad? It's not going to work, Dad. It's just not. Like, I'm just laughing. Like, it's just, he's trying to manipulate me. Are you kidding? You mistreat my mom emotionally for 5 years, Dad, and nobody does anything. Dale Williams doesn't do anything. Your 3 sons don't do anything. Your 2 daughters don't do anything, Dad. You guys are all goofballs. You just are. And everybody wants to hide it. Nobody wants the truth. Oh, sorry.
I brought that up to my mom yesterday.
What's that?
So about, so she told me, my uncles have church. Why, I could come, I could be there. They're planning on being there. It's like, yeah, no, I don't really want to. It's like I'd rather. It's like, okay, well, does that make you feel better? Like, yeah, you know. Didn't tell her I was gonna go hunting because that would, not supposed to do that. Um, I was like, you just ignore stuff, or you just stay at, like, I told her, well, I don't know, I just don't want to see people. So you just avoid stuff that's not that you don't like. Like, yeah, just like everybody else. I just avoid it. That won't take care of anything, but I can act like everything's fine. Yeah, I'll do that.
Right. It's weird on how they get to do things like avoid stuff, not have honest conversations, and other types of things. They get to do all of that. But when you do the same thing to them, like it's okay for them to do, but it's not okay. It's not okay for you to do the same things that they're doing. The hypocrisy of it, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
I think that also had to do a lot to do with what happened yesterday. It was like usually when I'm frustrated or miffed or something at my parents, I just don't. I just ignore it. I just, still treat them well, treat them fair, whatever that means. But yesterday I was like, maybe a little rude or a little something. I'm guessing they knew I was a little upset or something with them. And that's just not normal for me.
See, and I don't know if that's rude. I really don't. I mean,
But I wonder, or I think gonna try to do that more. It's like, you can avoid stuff. You think I should address stuff? Well, I'll challenge you to address some stuff too.
right, right. It's weird on how people project themselves over onto you. And so, like, I don't know, in the friendship and your voice in my headset, the whole project about friendship, it's so fascinating in the last 5.5 months. Like I did all of this website was done years ago before I ever met Nora. Like everything in here was done before I met Nora. And then all of a sudden meet Nora, and it's like level four friend. And it's like, so you start seeing, and so you go, huh. So I'm going to add a section for family because there's so much in family. It's absolutely crazy. Like to see what moms do and how they go ahead and mess things up like crazy, and the husbands don't do anything to right it. Like they just sit back and let the like there was a situation yesterday with my family that was very fascinating. like like I mean another podcast in and of itself. Like it's just and there's some tension between some women, and a woman said, she's not a happy camper, and from my perspective she has every reason to not be happy. And I said, I'll take care of it, and I will. I will. Like this is not. And so if as a man, if you let women take care of things, I'm telling you, it is absolutely like you don't step up when you should step up as a man and say, you know what, you don't do that. And I'm telling you, it will absolutely be a mess. And so, the chosen family is an interesting concept. And, so that's been 5 years on my side of the family mostly. I mean, there was one brother, but he became a goofball too, and really just funny on how he talked about me respecting boundaries and he wouldn't respect boundaries. That was in an email. Like, don't include more than one person in an email. That was his boundaries. It's like, really? Okay. And he would not go ahead and respect my daughters as moms boundaries with their kids. It's like, but he's a pastor for 10 years. So what do you expect? What do you expect? I think that does more emotional damage to you. Like, you never go ahead. Wonder if being a pastor is more traumatizing, not because of the people to you, but you to the people, than sexual abuse, what it does to your brain. I don't know. Anything else, Kenny, you got?
No.
I was hoping that you'd get a deer while you were on this podcast. That would have been cool. Nora, anything you got?
The only thing I had a thought on was with Kenny and his mom and him thinking that, it might have been a little harsh or whatever. It's like I don't think that's harsh or rude or disrespectful. I think it's standing up for the truth. And I don't think we should ever apologize for doing that. Like when you think about, Jesus had hard conversations with people too, and he said stuff that people didn't want to hear, and he was just saying the truth. So I don't know. I think sometimes when we do that, we put a target on our backs, but that's still,
I think by and
I would
large,
say, the right thing to do.
right. I agree, and I think we always put a target on our back because what will happen is the level 1 and the level 2 friends will come together and they hunt like wolf packs. They do. They just do. What's hard is when you give your whole life to somebody. I mean, literally, you're there for their whole life, literally, and you help them out of how many situations, and they don't remember any of it, and the amount of damage that they can do. It's so I don't know. It's just I have an advantage because I'm an international speaker and author, so I meet a lot of people. And when you can go to a level 4 friendship in, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks, you're not afraid of losing level 1 or level 2, maybe even level 3, because did they really love you? Did they? I mean, did they? Or, that's a choice they get to make. And so, and the other advantage I have is that, I can be alone. Like when Ginger Ann said on one of the podcasts, she says, how do I be a level 4 friend with myself? I think I am, where I can just be with myself for hours, days, weeks on end. Because when your life vision's bigger than death, you heal. Because if you don't heal, you stop growing. So if you have any questions on this, connect with the individual who invited you to participate. I mean, share it with other people, right? This has some value. And, if any of my children listen to it, hey, connect with your dad, love you like crazy. Every one of you have captured my heart. I mean, you've all broken my heart, or what's happened to you has broken my heart, or both. If any of my siblings, I just hurt for you. I just do. A lot. So connect with the individual who invited you, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300 outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.